You be good, sweetheart. Just wait here for a little while. Okay? Ethan knelt down, adjusting the strap on his daughter's backpack and gently brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. 7-year-old Lily nodded solemnly, her fingers gripping a frayed-eared stuffed bunny like a soldier holding the line. "I'll draw while I wait," she whispered. Ethan smiled, that kind of smile that only single parents know, half courage, half fear. It was 8:08 a.m. He took a deep breath, straightened the second-hand button-up shirt he'd ironed that morning, and walked through the double-glass doors with a manila folder in hand, and hope balanced on his shoulders. Inside the 12th-floor conference room, the air was sharp and clinical. Across the table sat Sandra Fields, head of human resources at Sterling Global. Black blazer, rectangular glasses, tightly coiled bun. She looked up from her screen like a prosecutor about to cross-examine. Ethan Cole. "Yes, ma'am. 2 years at the granary. 3 years running your own catering service. Then?" "Nothing." "Why?" "My wife passed away," Ethan said, steady but soft. "I stepped back to raise my daughter." "You're a single father?" "Yes." "Support system, daycare, grandparents, sitters." He hesitated. A kind neighbor helps when she can. "I've been piecing together a plan." Sandra's tone didn't budge. "Here at Sterling, we value stability, predictability." "I understand that," Ethan said, trying to stay composed, "and I'm confident I can meet those expectations." "You're confident," Sandra repeated, raising an eyebrow. "But confidence doesn't mitigate risk. One absence due to a school call or a sick day can cost this department thousands." "I've prepared a proposal," Ethan said, gently sliding the folder forward. "Meal optimization strategies, cost reduction, menu redesign for staff wellness." Sandra flipped it open briefly, then shut it. "Thank you, Mr. Cole. We appreciate your time. We'll be in touch if needed." And that was it. No questions about the plan. No curiosity about the man behind it. Just a quiet dismissal masked in corporate courtesy. Ethan walked out, folder still in hand, his gut twisted with a familiar ache. Not defeat, but the weight of trying. He looked around the lobby. Lily. She wasn't on the chair where he left her. A surge of panic shot through him. He rushed toward the front desk, scanning every corner until he saw her, and his breath caught. Just a few steps away, Lily stood face to face with a woman in a black coat and heels that clicked like authority itself. Olivia Hart, CEO of Sterling Global. The name alone carried weight, but in person she radiated something heavier, command clarity and cold. Ethan froze. Lily looked up at the woman. "Are you really the boss of this whole building?" Olivia blinked, surprised, then curiously amused. "I am." "Do you know what a CEO does?" Lily tilted her head. "You're like the queen of a castle, but with fancier shoes." A faint twitch pulled at the corner of Olivia's lips, not quite a smile, but something close. "Who are you here with?" she asked. "My dad. But the people upstairs didn't like that I exist, I think." Olivia arched an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "They said my dad's a risk. 'Cause I could get sick and make him miss work. But I don't get sick unless I eat too much ice cream," Lily added matter-of-factly. Something stirred behind Olivia's usually unreadable gaze. "What does your dad do?" "He's a chef. And he draws food menus with colors so people eating in boring offices don't feel sad." Olivia was silent. Then, turning to her assistant nearby, she said quietly, "Bring me Ethan Cole's file. Now." The assistant blinked. "Ma'am, he was just disqualified by HR, I'm aware. I'd like to assess the file myself." Olivia crouched slightly to face Lily. "And where is your dad now?" "Over there," Lily pointed. Olivia turned and locked eyes with Ethan. A second passed, then another. Her voice, calm but firm, carried across the polished marble lobby. "Mr. Cole, I believe we need to have another conversation. 22nd floor, now." The elevator ride to the 22nd floor felt longer than any Ethan had ever taken. He stood awkwardly gripping the folder HR had barely glanced at. Lily was back downstairs with a kind receptionist who offered her a coloring book and juice. Ethan couldn't stop wondering if this was a trap, if he'd somehow violated some corporate policy by letting his daughter talk to the CEO. Or maybe this was something else entirely. The elevator doors slid open. Waiting just outside, Olivia Hart stood with arms crossed, her sharp eyes scanning him like he was a report she hadn't signed off on yet. "Mr. Cole," she said, voice calm but cool. "Let's make this efficient. Follow me." Her office was sleek, almost sterile white walls, glass shelves, clean lines. A minimalist desk stood before floor-to-ceiling windows offering a breathtaking view of the skyline. Ethan didn't sit until she motioned to the chair across from hers. Olivia set a leather-bound notebook on the desk and opened Ethan's folder. "You were applying for the culinary operations manager position." "Yes, ma'am. I read your proposal." She continued flipping through the pages. "Creative, cost-effective, focused on employee wellness. Not bad for someone who's been out of the industry for 3 years." "I've still been cooking," Ethan said. "Just not for boardrooms. Yicky, catering, freelance. Yeah. No, for one person." He hesitated, then added, "My daughter." Olivia's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes did. A flicker. "I see." Silence stretched. Then she looked up. "Tell me something, Mr. Cole. What were you thinking bringing your daughter to a corporate interview?" Ethan leaned forward, careful with his words. "I didn't plan it. Her sitter canceled last minute. I could have called to reschedule, but—" He shook his head. "Opportunities don't always wait. And I couldn't teach my daughter that when life throws a wrench in your plans, you walk away. And what lesson would she have learned if you'd walked in here and made a mess of it?" Olivia challenged. He held her gaze. That her father showed up, even when it was hard. The room was quiet again, but this time not hostile. Olivia closed the folder gently. "Do you know why I called you up here? I assume it has something to do with my daughter cornering the CEO in the lobby." Olivia almost smiled. "She didn't corner me. She asked better questions than most executives." Ethan chuckled softly, surprised. "She's been doing that since she was 4. She told me I looked like someone who knew how to protect people." Olivia said, then paused. "That caught me off guard." Ethan tilted his head. "She has a gift, cuts through things, sees people." Olivia tapped the folder. "She also mentioned you draw menus in color." For mood, Ethan nodded. "Color affects appetite, energy, even morale. We underestimate the emotional power of food." "I don't," Olivia said. "I built this company from scratch. During the pandemic, when our employees were exhausted, the thing they thanked me for most wasn't job security. It was warm soup on night shifts." She looked him over again. "I know what nourishment looks like. And you're not just a cook." Ethan didn't speak. He didn't need to. Olivia closed the folder fully. "You didn't pass HR's initial filter. They flagged your profile as high risk, because I'm a single parent." "Yes." "Well," Ethan said quietly, "that's the one part of my life I won't apologize for." "You shouldn't," Olivia replied. "But this company has blind spots." She stood and walked to the window, looking out as if addressing the city rather than the man behind her. "I never had kids. Never had time. Or rather, I was taught that time spent on anything but business was weakness." She turned back. "But that little girl in the lobby, she made me question that in under 3 minutes." Ethan met her eyes. "She has a way of doing that." Olivia took a breath. "I'm not offering you the job. Not yet." Ethan tensed. "I'm offering you a 2-week trial. Paid. You'll operate in our internal kitchen for executive floors. Prep menus, manage staff rotation, show me what your colored menus can do." Ethan didn't hesitate. "Yes, absolutely. But there are conditions," she added. "You'll have access to a temporary employee badge. Your daughter can remain on the premises, but only under supervision and only during defined hours. If anything jeopardizes productivity, we pull the plug. Understood crystal clear, he said, and thank you for giving me a chance. Olivia paused again, studying him. Let's be clear, Mr. Cole. This isn't charity. He nodded. I didn't think it was. This is about potential. You impressed me. And your daughter reminded me that leaders don't just build companies. They build people. Ethan stood. I'll bring everything I've got. I expect nothing less. As he rode the elevator back down, Ethan let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. When he stepped into the lobby, Lily looked up from her drawing and ran to him. How did it go? He scooped her into his arms. I didn't get the job, he said, grinning. But I got something better. What a second chance. Lily nodded like she understood exactly what that meant because maybe, just maybe she did. As they walked out of the building, Olivia stood by the window of her top-floor office watching them. Not with judgment, not with superiority, but with something new in her eyes. Curiosity, respect, and, perhaps, just the beginning of change. By Monday morning, Ethan was standing in the heart of Sterling Global's executive kitchen, a spotless, steel-lined cathedral to culinary precision. The kind of place where every knife had a home, every ingredient a cost code, and every mistake came with paperwork. He was wearing a black chef's jacket too clean for someone like him. His name embroidered on the pocket felt almost foreign. But it wasn't the uniform that made him feel out of place. It was the looks. 3 sous chefs, 2 kitchen coordinators, 1 facility manager, all staring at the new guy, the trial guy, with the silent judgment of professionals, wondering, why is this single dad being allowed to play in our kitchen? Still, Ethan didn't flinch. All right, he said, laying down his color-coded prep sheet on the stainless steel counter. We're shifting the Tuesday menu to Mediterranean. High protein, low sodium. Hummus bowls, grilled chicken skewers, cucumber yogurt sauce. I want vibrant plating and quick prep rotation. Sound good. No one moved. A beat passed. Then a voice from the back, a young sous chef named Marco, raised an eyebrow. Didn't realize we were running a preschool cafeteria now. Another snickered. Ethan just smiled. Well, he said calmly, if you can prep a hummus bowl that makes a junior analyst forget her 14-hour shift, I'll let you rename the dish anything you want. That shut him up. By mid-morning, the rhythm of the kitchen had shifted. People moved with him, not around him. Diced, sautéed, grilled. And when Olivia Hart herself walked in for an unannounced inspection, she was met with a line of citrus-glazed chicken skewers plated with roasted bell peppers and edible flowers. She tasted one, slowly, then gave a single nod. Better than what I had at the summit in Dubai, she said, setting the plate down. Marco looked stunned. Ethan didn't gloat, but the faint smile tugging at the corner of his mouth said enough. Meanwhile, back in the reception area of the 22nd floor, Lily had made herself at home. She was sitting, cross-legged on a plush bench, crayons scattered around her, while the receptionist Marla, a kind woman in her 50s, smiled indulgently. You know, Lily said matter-of-factly, this building has too many grays and not enough happy colors. Marla laughed. Tell that to the interior designer. I'm serious, Lily added, holding up her drawing a sketch of the lobby but with pink walls, trees, and a rainbow between the elevators. I fixed it. At that moment, Olivia walked past and stopped. She looked down at the sketch. Did you draw this? Lily nodded. I call it not boring version. Marla tried to stifle a laugh. Olivia knelt, picked up the paper gently. You've got an eye for space, she said. Lily shrugged. Daddy says we see what adults forget. Olivia blinked. Then folding the paper in half with surprising care, she said, Come with me. Olivia led Lily through the marketing department past whiteboards filled with brand slogans and campaign stats. When they entered the creative conference room, a group of young marketers looked up mid-discussion. Everyone, Olivia announced, This is Lily Cole. She's 7, and she just fixed our lobby." Lily waved. The team stared. This Olivia continued holding up the sketch is what clarity looks like. Bright, confident, emotionally resonant. I want you to take inspiration from this for our upcoming wellness campaign. Make it feel like something worth waking up for. The room erupted in whispers. Lily leaned toward Olivia and whispered, "Was that too bossy?" Olivia leaned back. "No, that was leadership." That afternoon, as Ethan scrubbed down the prep station, Olivia entered the kitchen again, but this time not as a silent observer. "You made an impression," she said. "On the food, on my staff, and on me." He wiped his hands and raised an eyebrow. "I didn't mean to stir up the building." "Well, you did," she said, crossing her arms. "People are talking. About the food. About your daughter." Ethan's face tensed. "If I overstepped—" "No," Olivia interrupted softer now. "You didn't. A beat. She made a suggestion today that will be featured in our corporate wellness branding." Ethan blinked. "Seriously? She called our lobby boring." He chuckled. "She's brutally honest. I like that." She paused. "I never thought I'd say this in a corporate setting, but that little girl sees this place better than most grown adults do. She listens with her eyes." Ethan nodded. "She gets that from her mom." A longer pause now. Olivia looked down at her heels, then back up. "What happened to her?" she asked gently. My wife Ethan's voice lowered. "Cancer. It was fast. Lily was 4. A silence settled between them. "I didn't have the luxury to fall apart," he added. "I just cooked, fed her, kept routines, gave her color where I could." Olivia's jaw tensed, but her eyes softened. "You're not the man I expected to walk into that interview last week." He shrugged. "I'm not sure I am, either." She looked at him for a long moment. Then, finally, "You've got one more week in this trial, but I already know how it's going to end." Ethan's eyebrows lifted. "I'm guessing not with another rejection." "No," she said. "It ends with change. For this company. And maybe for you." As she turned to leave, he called after her. "Thank you for trusting me. And for trusting Lily." Olivia paused at the door. "It wasn't trust at first," she said over her shoulder. "It was curiosity." She glanced back. "But now, it's something more." That night, Olivia returned to her office, unfolded Lily's sketch again, and pinned it to the wall behind her desk. For the first time in years, the CEO of Sterling Global sat alone in her corner office and smiled. Not because of market share, or press coverage, or quarterly gains, but because one child saw something everyone else missed and reminded her that greatness doesn't always come from power. Sometimes it arrives wearing pink sneakers and carrying a bunny with a torn ear. The morning buzzed with energy. The executive floor cafeteria had never smelled so alive. Cinnamon oats, rosemary frittatas, coffee infused with orange zest. Ethan worked quietly but confidently, organizing plates with the flow of a man who knew food could speak louder than words. But while the kitchen warmed with color and flavor elsewhere in the building, the temperature was dropping. Inside the board conference room, the atmosphere was frosty. 8 executives sat around the long mahogany table, each one flanked by spreadsheets and personal agendas. At the head sat William Tate, CFO and longtime board member. Gray hair, cold stare, and a suit that probably cost more than Ethan's annual rent. "Let's get to the point," he said, setting down his mug. "There's a growing concern about recent deviations from protocol." Across the table, Vice President Marianne Blake added, "We've noticed some non-standard activity, particularly around Olivia's involvement with the culinary department and her decision to authorize a trial hire without board vetting." There were nods, murmurs, thinly veiled discontent. Someone finally said it out loud. "A single father. With a child on site. Is that the new Sterling standard?" An hour later, Olivia stood at her office window, arms folded. She'd seen this storm coming. When you spend your life controlling everything, numbers, outcomes, reputation, the moment you follow your gut instead of your policy, the wolves come out. Her assistant entered quietly. Olivia, the board wants a formal statement about Ethan's trial and Lily's presence. Olivia didn't turn around. Do they want me to apologize for a man doing his job and being a parent? They want you to explain. I don't explain common sense, she said coldly. But even as the words left her lips, she knew this wasn't just about Ethan. It was about her. Downstairs, Ethan was wiping down a prep station when Marco, the sous chef, who once mocked him, leaned in. Hey man, just a heads up. Word's going around the higher-ups are not thrilled about your setup. Ethan paused. Because of the food, Marco shook his head. Nah. Food's a hit. It's everything else? Ethan set the rag down quietly. You mean my daughter? Marco hesitated. Look, I got 2 kids. I get it. But this place? It's not built for people like us. It's built for machines. For robots who sleep 4 hours and think vacation is weakness. Ethan gave a tired smile. Then maybe it's time they saw what real strength looks like. Later that afternoon, Ethan received a message. Please report to the CEO's office. 4 p.m. He arrived 5 minutes early. Olivia was already seated, but she looked different today. The blazer was still sharp, the hair perfect, but the eyes, those usually unreadable eyes, were turbulent. Sit, she said without her usual precision. Ethan obeyed. She leaned back. I won't sugarcoat this. There's pushback. Because of me. Because of us, Olivia corrected. This isn't just about a man bringing his child to a professional setting. It's about what that symbolizes: change, flexibility, humanity. She paused. And corporate boards hate humanity. Ethan tried to laugh. He couldn't. What does this mean? He asked carefully. It means, Olivia said slowly, that you're still in the trial period. Technically, and any deviation, any perceived disruption could be used to remove you. And Lily, her voice hardened. They want her off the premises. Immediately. Ethan leaned forward. She stays in the lobby. She colors. She doesn't disturb anyone. In fact, she's contributed more to this company's culture in a week than most VPs have in years. Olivia smiled bitterly. You think I don't know that? You think I haven't seen what she's done? The mural outside HR, the way she convinced the mailroom staff to label packages in colors. Then, fight for her, Ethan said without hesitation. You're the CEO. Make a call. Olivia stared at him, and then, softer than before. Do you know how I became the youngest female CEO in this company's history? Ethan didn't answer. I made the hard calls. I gave up weekends, birthdays, relationships. I traded everything that made me human for this chair. A long pause. And now he asked. Now, a little girl is making me wonder if I built an empire worth ruling. The next day, the entire building noticed something had shifted. Outside the boardroom, a new sign had been installed above a spare office near reception family flex room. A space for working parents. Inside, beanbags, books, quiet toys, and a handmade sign taped to the wall in crayon, all are welcome here, especially tired dads. That afternoon, Olivia called another meeting, but not with the board. She summoned the heads of every department. As they filled the room, she stood alone at the front. No podium, no notes. You've heard whispers, she began. About a little girl, about a chef, about me. There were nervous chuckles. Well, let me be clear. I authorized Ethan Cole's trial not out of sympathy but strategy. He is one of the most innovative culinary minds I've seen, and his daughter reminded me what leadership looks like when it's rooted in empathy. She walked slowly across the room. Sterling Global is not a machine. We are a company made of humans, and from this day forward, we will create space for them to show up whole. One executive raised a hand. "What about the board?" Olivia turned to face him, eyes sharp. "Let them fire me. But they won't, because I've already seen the numbers. Employee retention, morale, engagement, all up since one father and one little girl walked through our doors. A beat. And if that's what disruption looks like, I'll take more of it." That evening, Ethan walked into the new family flex room with Lily. She gasped. "Is this for me?" He knelt beside her. "It's for people like us." She ran to the beanbags, then stopped suddenly. "Daddy." "Yeah." She held up a drawing. It was of a building, the real one, but on top there was a big heart instead of the logo. "I think you and the boss lady are fixing things." Ethan looked toward the window where on the top floor Olivia stood in her office, watching them. Not like a ruler surveying her empire, but like a woman for the first time realizing she might have finally built a place worth staying for. The sun dipped behind the skyline, casting long shadows across Sterling Global's towering glass panels. Inside the family flex room, Lily lay curled on a beanbag, fast asleep, her drawing pad resting beside her chest like a shield. A crayon still sat loosely in her fingers. Down the hall, Ethan stood alone in the executive break room stirring a lukewarm coffee that no amount of sugar could fix. He wasn't tired from cooking. He was tired from wondering. When do they tell me it's over? The door opened. Olivia stepped in. He turned. "You drink this stuff?" he asked, lifting the cup. "I don't drink anything I can't pronounce," she replied dryly, walking to the window. "Then you should try Lily's imaginary tea parties," he said. "Flavors like glitterberry and rainbow root." She smiled faintly. "She's been drawing your menus. Added smiley faces to every Tuesday dish. That explains the surge in morale." Ethan chuckled. A beat of quiet passed. Then Olivia said it with no preamble, no softness. "The board gave me an ultimatum." Ethan froze. "They want to end your trial." Silence. "They say it's sending the wrong message, that flexibility weakens us, that empathy is a distraction, that I'm turning this company into a daycare with a garnish of PR fluff. And what did you say?" he asked, voice tight. I said no. His eyes flicked up. "You stood up to them. I told them we don't hire perfection. We hire potential. And potential shows up in unlikely places like a grieving father who makes roasted carrots taste like comfort." Ethan looked away, overwhelmed. "But they're not backing down," she added. "They're calling an emergency vote. Friday, meaning, if I don't reverse my decision, I could be out." Later that night, Ethan found himself pacing the floor of his tiny apartment, Lily already asleep in the next room. Dishes sat untouched in the sink. A half-prepped curry still simmered on the stove. He looked down at a sticky note Lily had left on the fridge that morning. "Daddy, don't forget to smile today. You're my sunshine." He closed his eyes, leaned against the wall, and exhaled a single word. Damn. The next day, Sterling buzzed with tension. Rumors spread faster than emails. Some whispered Olivia had finally gone soft. Others said she was playing chess, not checkers, that she saw something in Ethan the rest of them had missed. In the elevator, strangers nodded at Ethan like they suddenly saw him as human, or maybe for the first time as one of them. But then came the real blow. He was summoned again, not to Olivia's office this time, but to the 14th floor legal compliance. The room was sterile. The voice across the table was colder than tile. "Mr. Cole," said the rep, "we've received a formal complaint." Ethan blinked. "From who?" "We're not at liberty to disclose the source, but the nature of the complaint is personal entanglement, accusations of favoritism, a conflict of interest." Ethan stared. "You think I'm involved with Olivia? We're not here to speculate. We're here to assess. But until this is reviewed, we recommend you cease direct contact with Ms. Hart." By the time Ethan stepped back onto the 22nd floor, his hands were shaking. He didn't head to the kitchen. He went straight to Olivia's office, ignoring protocol. She looked up the second he entered and saw the storm in his eyes. "They filed a complaint," he said flatly. She nodded once. I know. They think I'm using you. I already launched an internal investigation. Legal's looking at it now, and in the meantime I'm being watched, she said. Every move I make. Ethan paced. So I'm a liability. You're not. I am, he said bitterly. They're using me to get to you. You think I don't know that? Her voice rose now firmer than before. You think I haven't lived every year of my life proving I earned this chair while they waited for me to make one emotional decision so they could pounce? He looked at her. Then why risk it? Olivia stepped around the desk. For years, she said, voice low. I built a tower tall enough that I forgot why I started climbing. Then your daughter showed up in pink shoes and changed the entire temperature of this building. She paused. And you reminded me that leadership isn't power. It's purpose. Ethan stared at her chest tight. I never wanted to be anyone's weakness, he said quietly. You're not. You're my mirror, she replied. You show me what matters. That evening, as rain painted streaks across the lobby windows, Ethan watched Lily twirl in circles on the marble floor. You okay, Daddy? She asked, sensing something behind his smile. He knelt beside her. Remember what you said about being someone's sunshine? She nodded. Well, you're also my compass. Like a map. Exactly. You help me find where I'm supposed to be. She grinned, hugging him. And just like that, the chaos faded. For now. Friday. 10 a.m. The boardroom was full. Olivia stood at the head, poised a document in one hand, her integrity in the other. I know you've called this vote under the guise of standards, she began, but let's be honest, this is about control. A few gasps, a few raised eyebrows. Ethan Cole didn't break policy. He exposed it. He showed us that compassion doesn't dilute excellence, it strengthens it. He's not a risk. He's a revolution. She looked each board member in the eye. And if this company has no room for revolution, then I don't belong here either. Downstairs, Ethan waited. He wasn't in the boardroom, he wasn't part of the decision. But in the flex room with Lily asleep again beside her sketch pad, he whispered a quiet prayer he hadn't said in years. Let it be enough. Rain lashed the windows as the boardroom doors finally opened. A hush fell over the hallway as Olivia Hart stepped out, composed, unreadable, the kind of woman who could walk away from an earthquake with her blazer still sharp and her lipstick untouched. But, inside her chest, a war. She walked past the executive floor silently. No one dared stop her. Only when she reached her office did she finally close the door behind her and exhale. The vote had passed. Ethan could stay. But only under one condition: Olivia would recuse herself from any direct oversight of him or his department and distance herself from anything involving Lily. A calculated blow. One meant to sting without bleeding. One that would protect the company's image but slowly fracture the very bond that had sparked change. She turned to the wall where Lily's crayon sketch still hung. The colors looked a little duller now. Downstairs, Ethan sat in silence as Olivia's assistant handed him the memo. He read it once, twice. The line that hit hardest wasn't about the vote. It was this effective: immediately Olivia Hart will no longer be directly involved in your review, supervision, or mentorship. Just like that, the lifeline was cut. He stood folding the paper slowly. Did she say anything else, he asked. The assistant shook her head. Only that she's sorry. He gave a short nod, though everything inside him felt like breaking. The next week passed in a fog. Ethan threw himself into work refining menus, mentoring staff, dodging curious stares from the same people who'd once ignored him. The kitchen ran smoothly. Reviews were glowing. Productivity up. But something was missing. Lily noticed it first. Why doesn't the boss lady come by anymore? Ethan paused, mid-chop knife suspended over a pile of rosemary. She's busy, he said. Lily frowned. She doesn't like my drawings now. No, sweetheart, I think she likes them too much. Thursday evening, just as Ethan was locking up the kitchen, a familiar voice echoed behind him. "I heard your salmon stole the CFO's heart." He turned. Olivia stood near the doorway, hands in her coat pockets. She looked tired, not in the way people lose sleep, but in the way people carry burdens no one else sees. "I thought you weren't allowed to talk to me," he said. "I'm not." She took a breath. "But I'm not great at following rules I didn't write." Ethan exhaled, his voice quieter now. "You could have fought harder." "I did. You could have walked away." "I almost did." A beat. "I'm still not sure which one would have hurt more," she added. They stood there for a moment. Not CEO and employee, not power and worker. Just two people caught between what was right and what was possible. Then Olivia stepped forward. "I need to show you something," she said. "Tomorrow. After hours." "Can you meet me?" Ethan hesitated, then nodded. Friday. 7:15 p.m. The office was nearly empty. The storm outside had died to a whisper. Olivia led Ethan to a secured room he'd never noticed before, tucked behind the executive wing past frosted glass and a locked door. Inside was not what he expected. No boardroom, no computers, just a quiet space, minimalist, but warm. At the center sat a single wooden box. Olivia opened it slowly, revealing a stack of sealed envelopes, some faded with time. "These are part of the Heart Foundation records," she said. "Personal archives. Most are never seen by staff." She handed him one letter. Ethan unfolded it. It was a birth certificate. Name of child, Lillian Grace. Mother, Olivia D'Amico, now Hart. Father unknown. Date, July 11th, 20XX. He stared at the paper. "What? Is this?" Olivia's voice shook for the first time. "I was 22. My father, Sterling's founder, forced me into silence. Said I had to choose between the company or her." Ethan's mind reeled. "You're telling me?" "I gave her up," Olivia said. "Under pressure. Under fear. I was told she'd be adopted, placed somewhere safe. I wasn't allowed to know where. No updates. Nothing." She swallowed hard. "But she wasn't adopted. Somehow she ended up with you." Ethan stepped back. "No. No, that's not possible. My wife, she had Lily when we met. She told me the father was gone, that she adopted her as a baby from a distant cousin. She never gave details." His voice cracked. "You're saying Lily is your daughter?" Olivia's eyes brimmed. "I'm saying I think we both got lied to." Silence. Ethan gripped the edge of the table to stay upright. Then, "Does she know?" Olivia shook her head. "Not yet. I couldn't do that without you." Tears gathered in Ethan's eyes. "You're not just the woman who gave me a chance. You're the reason she's in my life." A long silence passed between them, a silence packed with 1,000 moments stolen, 1,000 what-ifs. Finally, Olivia whispered, "I just wanted her to be safe. I never imagined I'd find her. Coloring in my lobby." Ethan nodded slowly. "She is safe, and she's happy, because of both of us." That night, as Ethan walked home in the rain, he didn't feel lost. He felt chosen. And though the future was terrifying and fragile, one thing was clear. This wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning of everything. The next morning, sunlight pushed softly through the apartment blinds, but Ethan's eyes had been open for hours. He sat on the edge of the couch, still dressed in yesterday's clothes, holding the birth certificate like it might vanish if he blinked. In the bedroom, Lily stirred. Daddy Ethan quickly tucked the paper into a book on the coffee table. "Hey, sunshine." Lily shuffled out hair, a wild mess of curls blanket trailing behind her like a cape. "Are we going back to the office today?" "Not today," he said gently. "It's Saturday. Can we go to the park then? The one with the ducks and the spinny thing that makes me dizzy." He smiled faintly. "Sure, kiddo. Anything you want." She beamed. "Then do you think Miss Olivia would come too?" His heart clenched. "I don't know," he said quietly. "Would you want her to?" "Yeah," Lily nodded. "She listens. Most grown-ups don't really listen, but she does." Ethan looked away. "She told me once that when I talk it sounds like colors." He nearly lost it right there. That afternoon, Ethan called Olivia. "I can't stop thinking about it," he said, pacing the small balcony outside. "Neither can I," she replied. Her voice was soft measured. "But rushing this will only confuse her. She deserves the truth. She deserves safety first," Olivia said. "Emotionally. We have to be sure." Ethan exhaled. "What if she resents you?" "I already resent me," Olivia replied, her voice cracking just enough to expose the wound beneath her armor. "Every day I didn't search harder. Every lie I believed. Every excuse I made." "She doesn't need your guilt," Ethan said gently. "She needs your love." Silence. Then Olivia asked the question neither of them had dared voice yet: will she still see me as someone worth loving? Sunday came. Ethan brought Lily to the park. They fed ducks, played tag. She screamed with joy as the spinny thing hurled her in slow circles. Then, as they sat beneath a tree, catching their breath, Lily asked again, "Is Miss Olivia mad at me?" "No, sweetheart. She stopped coming to see me. She didn't want to make things harder for you." Lily frowned, turning a leaf over in her fingers. "Sometimes. Grown-ups go away when things feel too big." Ethan looked at her. "What do you mean?" "That's what happened with Mommy," she said quietly. "The night she went to the hospital, she said she'd come home. But she didn't." A lump formed in Ethan's throat. "She didn't leave you, Lily. She fought to stay. With everything she had." Lily leaned against him. "Miss Olivia isn't sick, is she?" "No." "Then maybe. She's still fighting, too." That night, Olivia sat alone in her penthouse apartment staring at a photo she'd never dared frame. A picture of a baby girl, the only one she had. She traced the faded edges with her thumb. "I wonder if you would have forgiven me," she whispered aloud, "for letting them take you." She hadn't spoken to her father in years. After his death, she inherited the company. And silence. Sterling Global had been her redemption, her atonement. But now it all felt hollow. Monday morning. Ethan returned to work. The kitchen staff greeted him like a hero. Productivity had never been higher. Morale was glowing. Even Marco, once a skeptic, had become a quiet supporter. But Ethan barely registered any of it. He was watching the elevator, waiting, hoping. At 9:43 a.m. it opened, and Olivia stepped out. The staff went silent. She walked toward Ethan without hesitation. "We need to talk," she said. He followed her to the family flex room, the one Lily had unintentionally inspired into existence. They stood beneath Lily's mural, a crayon rainbow that now looked like prophecy. "I thought about your question," Olivia said, "about whether she'll love me." Ethan nodded. "I realized. That's not what matters. What matters is whether I'll love her enough to earn it, without expectation, without needing anything back." She paused. "I want to try Ethan. I want to know her, whatever that looks like, however long it takes." He looked at her for a long moment. "You already started," he said. "She thinks your voice sounds like colors." Olivia blinked, then smiled. It was the first real smile in a long time, not for the press or the board or the quarterly numbers. A human smile. One built on hope. That evening, Lily opened the apartment door to find Olivia standing there. She wore no makeup, no power suit, just jean sneakers and a cardigan far too soft for a CEO. Lily tilted her head. "Are you here for dinner?" Ethan smiled behind her. "Only if it's okay with the boss." Lily beamed. "We're having mac and cheese with hot dogs cut like octopuses." Olivia chuckled. "That's extremely gourmet." Lily pulled her inside, and for the first time in 7 years, Olivia Hart sat at a dinner table with her daughter. No press, no noise, Just laughter, messy napkins, crayon drawings, and grace. By the following week, something had shifted. Lily had started drawing Olivia into her pictures sometimes as a smiling woman holding a mug of tea beside a rainbow-colored office building. Other times, Olivia wore a superhero cape flying just behind a crayon version of Lily herself. "She thinks you're magic," Ethan said one afternoon watching Lily sketch on the coffee table. Olivia gave a soft smile. "I'm just trying to earn her trust." "You already have," Ethan replied. "She doesn't draw people she doesn't feel safe with." Olivia looked down at the page and swallowed hard. Safe. The word echoed. It had never been one she associated with herself, not as a daughter, not as a CEO, and certainly not as a mother forced to bury that identity for most of her adult life. Later that day, Olivia invited Lily to her penthouse. It wasn't flashy. It was sterile white walls, gray furniture, not a single family photo in sight. Lily wandered the space with curious eyes. "Why's it so quiet here?" she asked. "I guess I never had a reason to fill it," Olivia admitted. "Well, you do, now," Lily said, plopping onto the couch and pulling out her crayons. Olivia watched as her daughter began coloring directly onto the back of an old financial report she'd pulled from the trash can. "You're okay drawing on that?" Olivia asked. "It's paper." "Paper's for telling stories," Lily said without looking up. "Grown-ups forget that." Olivia sat beside her. "What kind of story are you drawing?" Lily grinned. "A story about a woman who built a castle made of glass but realized it needed windows that could open, so people could breathe." Olivia was stunned, silent. That night, Ethan joined them for dinner takeout on the rooftop. They sat beneath string lights Olivia had never used before, Lily running in tiny circles between bites of dumplings. As the sun faded behind the skyline, Olivia turned to Ethan. "There's something I need to show you," she said, "something I never dared to look at until now." They went downstairs to her private study. She opened a locked drawer, revealing a leather-bound binder. Inside, folders marked with names, photos, timelines all related to Lily's adoption. "I hired a private investigator 3 years ago," Olivia said. "I had a feeling. I don't know why, but I could never bring myself to read the report." Ethan opened the top file. There, buried beneath redacted records and faded documents, was a legal transfer dated 8 months after Lily's birth. It named the guardian, Julia Quinn, his late wife. His breath caught. "She told me she adopted Lily through a distant cousin. I didn't ask questions. I was just grateful." "But it wasn't legal," Olivia said. "At least not fully. The document says temporary guardianship, pending full court approval. That approval never came." Ethan turned the page. A sticky note was attached. It read, "No contact." Under instruction from R.D. Olivia's face paled. "R.D. was my father's lawyer," she whispered. "He orchestrated everything. Paid off clinics, manipulated paperwork, even threatened the private adoption agency." Ethan stared at her. "You were never meant to find Lily, and I was never meant to keep her." They both sat back, the weight of it crushing. "This wasn't just control," Olivia said, her voice barely above a whisper. "This was theft. He stole her from both of us." Ethan's fists clenched. "But why? Because in his mind, motherhood would make me weak, unfocused, a liability to his legacy." Silence. Then Olivia looked up at him. "I should have fought harder." "You were 22, Ethan said. "You were alone. You were being threatened by a man who controlled your entire future." Her eyes shimmered. "And yet somehow through all that she ended up with you, with someone who loved her." He reached across the desk and took her hand. "She's not broken, Olivia. She's whole. She's light. She's ours." The next morning, Lily woke up early and shuffled into the kitchen where Ethan was making breakfast. "Can I go see Miss Olivia today?" she asked, rubbing her eyes. Ethan hesitated. "There's something we need to talk about first." Lily tilted her head. "Is it serious?" He knelt down. Do you remember how I told you that you were chosen? Lily nodded. Well, sometimes chosen means something even bigger than we think. She blinked. Like what? Ethan took a deep breath. Miss Olivia is very special to you. Not just because she's nice or listens well or laughs at your jokes, but because a long time ago she loved a little baby so much she had to say goodbye to her, even though it broke her heart. Lily frowned. That's really sad. It is, Ethan said. But the baby, she grew up brave and strong and full of color. And guess what? What that baby was you. Lily stared, then blinked, then quietly said, Does that mean she's my mom? Ethan nodded. She is. She always was. She just didn't get the chance until now. Lily was silent for a long time, then whispered, Can I still call her Miss Olivia? Ethan smiled, tears in his eyes. You can call her whatever you want. That evening, as Olivia sat in her office staring at the sun setting behind the city skyline, the door opened. Lily stepped in, holding a drawing. I made this for you, she said, walking up. Olivia unfolded the paper. It was the two of them standing in front of a tall glass castle this time with wide-open windows. And in bold, rainbow-colored letters above the drawing were the words, Welcome home, Mommy. Olivia looked down at Lily, eyes flooding. And for the first time in her life, she wept. Not from regret, not from shame, but from a kind of joy so fragile it could only come from being broken and found again. The following Monday started like any other. But by 10:03 a.m., everything had changed. Olivia was mid-sentence in a quarterly planning meeting when her assistant Lauren burst into the room, breath short, eyes wide. Ms. Hart, you need to see this. Lauren handed her a phone, the screen lit with a headline. Sterling CEO allegedly hid child from past relationship exclusive adoption, files leaked. Underneath was a blurry photo, Olivia, Ethan, and Lily walking out of the flex room, smiling, holding hands. Olivia's heart stopped. The article listed confidential adoption records including redacted names, timelines, and insinuations of ethical misconduct. Even worse, it made Lily sound like a scandal, not a child. Whispers erupted in the room. Olivia stood. Clear the rest of my day. 2 floors below, Ethan's phone buzzed violently. He read the article in silence. His knuckles went white. By the time he looked up, 3 employees were already watching him through the kitchen glass, their faces a mixture of curiosity and judgment. One whispered, is that his kid, Ethan, walked out of the room before they could say more. Back upstairs, Olivia was pacing her office, the door locked. Lauren returned with a trembling voice. Legal's been alerted. PR wants a draft statement. The board is asking for a full timeline. Find out who leaked it, Olivia snapped. And if it was intentional, Lauren asked carefully. Olivia stopped cold. It was. She opened her desk drawer and pulled out a thin manila envelope she hadn't touched in years, stamped with the seal of her father's former law firm. Inside was a confidential document, a clause in her succession agreement. Any personal conduct resulting in reputational damage specifically involving undisclosed dependents or family-related controversy may trigger a reassessment of leadership eligibility. Her father had written it, tied her identity to her obedience. Even in death, he was still playing chess. Later that day, Olivia found Ethan in the rooftop garden, pacing beneath the pergola. She approached him quietly. "I'm sorry," she said. "It's not your fault," he replied. "But it's not just about you anymore. Or me." His jaw was clenched, but his eyes were vulnerable. They named her Olivia. She's a kid. And now she's a headline. Olivia looked gutted. "I thought we had time. I thought we could protect her until she was ready." Ethan turned to her. "So what? Now I hold a press conference." He blinked. "You'd admit everything, not everything. But enough. The truth told the right way can disarm a lie." She paused. "And if it costs me this job, then so be it." Ethan stared at her. You're willing to lose everything. I already lost her once. I'm not doing it again." That evening, Lily was at home coloring quietly. Ethan sat beside her, unsure how to begin. "Hey, sweetheart." Did anyone at school say anything today?" "About Mommy," Lily nodded. "A boy asked if you and Miss Olivia were in trouble. I said no. Then I kicked him in the shin." Ethan tried not to laugh. "That's not the best way to handle it. He said we weren't a real family," she mumbled. Ethan's heart cracked open. He took her small hand in his. "Families don't have to look one way. They just have to love one way." Lily looked up. "Are we going to be okay?" He didn't hesitate. "We already are." Next morning, press room, Sterling Global HQ. Cameras clicked. Journalists murmured. Every major business outlet was in attendance. Olivia stepped up to the podium, dressed not in armor, no bold colors, no power stance, but in quiet grace. She looked at the cameras, then beyond them. To the people who didn't know her yet. To the little girl watching from home. To those who've read the headlines, "I want to speak plainly." She took a breath. "Yes, the child in the photos is mine. Her name is Lily. She is brave, curious, and the most extraordinary person I've ever met." A flurry of camera flashes. There were decisions made long ago, decisions that were taken from me. At the time, I believed I was protecting a future. What I didn't realize was that I was surrendering one. She paused. "This is not a scandal. This is not a weakness. This is a child. And she is loved." One reporter stood. "Do you believe this compromises your role as CEO? I believe it enhances it. Because leadership without empathy is just control. And control never builds trust." Another reporter. "Do you expect to keep your position?" Olivia's gaze didn't flinch. "I expect to tell the truth. And whatever happens after that, I can live with." Back in the apartment, Ethan and Lily watched the live stream. When it ended, Lily whispered, "She's not scared." "No," Ethan replied. "She's not." Lily smiled. "Then maybe I don't have to be either." The press conference had ended barely 24 hours ago, but the world had already chosen sides. Half of the headlines praised Olivia's vulnerability and integrity. The other half, brutal. Is Sterling Global led by a liability from boardroom to backroom scandal? CEO's secret child rocks Fortune 100 giant. But Olivia. She walked through it all like a storm that had learned how to carry sunlight. What she hadn't expected was the email waiting on her desk the next morning. It was from Lighton Capital, one of Sterling's major investors. It read, "We are grateful for your years of leadership, Olivia. But for the good of market confidence, we believe a transition is necessary. Please be prepared to discuss terms by end of week." Translation: They wanted her gone, clean, quiet, and soon. Meanwhile, downstairs, Ethan was finishing a morning prep session when his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. "Is this Chef Ethan Cole speaking? This is Caroline Briggs from the Ember Line, the flagship culinary group in San Francisco. I saw your story online, and then I saw your work. I think we need to talk." Ethan stepped outside, heart thudding. "I wasn't aware I was looking." "You weren't," she said, "but you've got something we don't just hire, we chase. Soul, story, innovation. Your journey is the kind people build entire restaurants around. I appreciate that. But I'm not sure now's the right. It's not just a chef position. It's creative director, partnership track, relocation covered. You'd lead a new concept start to finish. Full autonomy." Ethan's breath caught, and the salary he asked hesitantly. She gave the number. He almost dropped the phone. That night, Ethan sat in his apartment with the offer email open on his laptop. He could hear Lily in the bath humming a song Olivia had taught her. And in his inbox sat a dream. He stared at the words, "We want you." It wasn't just about cooking. It was about legacy. But legacy meant nothing if you couldn't share it. He met Olivia the next evening at their usual rooftop spot. City lights blinked softly behind her as she poured tea from a small thermos Lily had picked out blue with glitter stars. "I got an offer," Ethan said without preamble. She looked up. "From where? Emberline, San Francisco. Creative director. It's everything I ever thought I wanted." She blinked slowly, then forced a small smile. "That's incredible." "But it's San Francisco," he said, "and this is home." She nodded, sipping her tea. "You don't have to explain it to me. You deserve this. You've earned this." "Have I?" He leaned forward. "Or have I just gotten good at surviving?" She tilted her head. "What do you mean, I mean? Maybe I've been afraid to want more because I got so used to life being about less, about getting by instead of becoming." He paused. "And now, I'm not just thinking about me. I'm thinking about Lily. And you." Olivia's eyes softened. "I won't hold you back, Ethan. Not ever. That's not what I want," he said. "Then what do you want?" He looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time, not as the CEO or the woman who'd hidden a past, but as someone who, like him, was finally learning how to choose joy without apology. "I want to build something," he said. "But not just in a kitchen. I want to build a life, a family, with you." The air between them pulsed. And then Olivia said the one thing neither of them had dared yet: "Come home." Ethan's brow furrowed. She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a key, small, silver, and trembling between her fingers. "I had a second bedroom furnished for Lily. She doesn't know, but it's ready. You don't have to say yes. But if this is where your heart lives, I want you here, with us." Ethan stared at the key. The wind rustled between them, but he didn't move, until he reached across gently, took the key, and said, "Only if there's room for a spice rack." She laughed, real unguarded and full of light. Back at home, Ethan tucked Lily into bed. "Daddy." "Yeah, love, will Miss Olivia come over tomorrow?" He smiled. "She might. She makes me feel like we're a team." Ethan kissed her forehead. "That's because we are." The next day, Ethan sent an email. Subject: RE offer from Emberline Caroline. "I'm honored, truly, but my next big project. It's right here. It's got crayon drawings on the fridge tee with stars on the lid, and the strongest team I've ever been part of. I'm staying. Thank you, Ethan Cole." Meanwhile, Olivia walked into the Sterling boardroom for the last time. Every member looked at her like she was already halfway gone. But she had one final move to make. She slid a binder onto the table. "This," she said, "is my succession plan. Not for me, for the company." She paused. "And it includes Ethan Cole as the new culinary director. Permanent, with full benefits, flexible family leave, and a scholarship program in Lily's name for single parents in the industry." A long silence. Then a single board member nodded. Approved. Outside, Ethan stood waiting. She stepped out. He grinned. "Did we just change the company?" She smiled back. "No, we just reminded it who it's supposed to be." 3 months later, the city had shifted. So had they. The seasons turned gently summer, slipping into early fall leaves beginning to blush amber and gold. But in one quiet neighborhood just outside downtown, something even rarer bloomed. Not fame, not fortune, but family. Ethan stood at the stove in Olivia's kitchen, or rather, their kitchen now. He wore a ridiculous apron Lily had hand-painted Chef Dad, dangerously delicious. He hummed as he stirred a pot of creamy butternut squash soup, the kind that filled a room with warmth before anyone even took a bite. Olivia walked in behind him, barefoot, holding 2 mugs of tea. "One for the executive chef," she said, handing it over. Ethan grinned. "Careful, you'll spoil me. I'm counting on it." She kissed his cheek, lingering longer than necessary. "Lily's setting the table," she added. "There's glitter involved. You've been warned. She gets it from you." Olivia raised an eyebrow. "I'm a minimalist." "Sure you are." The woman who color-coded her pantry by emotional tone. They laughed, not like people who were trying, but like people who had learned it was safe to. At the table, Lily was placing the last fork beside a place card that read, "Mommy, Sparkle Hearts." She looked up as Ethan and Olivia joined her. "Okay," she said. "Seriously, everyone sit." They obeyed, like loyal staff before a tiny CEO. Then Lily reached beneath her chair and pulled out a folded piece of paper. "I have a poem," she announced. "It's for our family celebration dinner." No interruptions. Ethan placed a hand over his heart. "I solemnly swear." Olivia crossed her fingers behind her back. "Proceed, Madame Poe." Lily unfolded the page, cleared her throat, and began. Families aren't always made in a hospital. Sometimes they're made in hallways or kitchens or when someone shares their umbrella. My mommy didn't know me when I was tiny, but now she knows I like mangoes, and glitter, and questions. My daddy didn't know she was my mommy, but he loved me so big that he made room in his heart even before it remembered. Now we live in a house with too many pillows and one cat who hates us all. But we are a team, not perfect, just real, and real is my favorite. She paused, then looked up, and that's the end. Silence. The kind that only comes when no one wants to speak too soon and ruin a perfect moment. Then Ethan said softly, "Real is my favorite too." Olivia reached for Lily's hand. "I may not have been there at the beginning," she whispered, "but I'll be there for every chapter that comes next." Lily grinned, even the ones with dragons, especially those. Later that night, after dinner had been devoured, dishes dried, and one cat narrowly rescued from a glitter incident, Ethan and Olivia stood on the balcony together. The city lights blinked below. Lily had fallen asleep mid-book, her head nestled between two throw pillows and one oversized stuffed narwhal. Ethan wrapped his arms around Olivia from behind. "I used to think love was this big cinematic thing," he murmured, "like thunder and lightning. And now I know it's soup simmering while your kid sings off-key in the next room. It's choosing each other on boring days, on hard days, again and again." Olivia leaned back against him. "I used to think power meant control," she said. "Then I met a 6-year-old who reminded me that power is being seen, heard, held." They stood in silence a while. Then Olivia turned. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." She reached into her cardigan pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Ethan blinked. "Is that?" Not that she laughed. "I'm not that bold." She opened it to reveal a tiny silver ring sized for a child. Lily asked if she could have something to match me. I thought we could give it to her together. As a promise. Ethan stared down at the ring etched inside with 3 words, "We choose you." His voice caught. "She'll love it." "No," Olivia said softly. "She'll feel it." They gave it to Lily the next morning, wrapped in her favorite purple scarf. She opened it slowly. Read the engraving, then looked up. "Does this mean you both picked me?" Olivia knelt. "No, sweet girl. It means we picked us. And that's how it ends. Not with fireworks, not with fame, but with a child learning that love isn't earned, it's returned. With 2 grown hearts learning that home isn't a place you find, it's something you build. 1 spoonful of soup, 1 bedtime story, 1 brave little girl at a time. Sometimes family isn't about where you start, it's about who shows up, stays, and chooses you. Over and over again. If this story touched your heart, let us know in the comments below. What does family mean to you? And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for more heartfelt stories like this one, because sometimes all it takes is one moment to change everything. Don't forget to like, share, and turn on the bell so you never miss the next story that might just change your day. Single dad